US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin are set to meet on August 15, 2025, tomorrow, in Anchorage, Alaska at the secure joint base Elmendorf-Richardson. But there are many questions. What are the goals and strategy of this meeting? Trump portrays the meeting as a listening exercise. Ladies and gentlemen, Trump already talked with the media and he says this meeting is not to bring solid outcome. It is a listening exercise with hopes to push for an immediate ceasefire in Ukraine, but European leaders backing the move stressed and Ukraine must be directly involved and that any territorial discussions must be aligned with Ukraine's constitution. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ACTV's International Affairs Special Edition, and we have a very terrific panel today. We have very distinguished gentlemen today as panelists. Lieutenant Colonel Helaluddin Ahmed, he is a defense and security analyst. We will have many tough questions on his table today, as because he has the experience on this particular. And we have another very distinguished gentleman, my very favorite, Dr. Benazir Ahmed, public health specialist, who has the experience to work worldwide for the World Health Organizations. Of course, we have our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Panto. Very warm welcome all of you gentlemen here. First, let me know from Shamsul Alam Panto as international affairs commentator, what are the other issues you want to pick for today's discussion? As you see, very terrific gentlemen are here with us today.
Thank you, Mr. Rashid Kanchan, and of course a very warm welcome to Colonel Helaluddin and also Dr. Benazir Ahmed, and of course very good afternoon to our viewers. Let me open our discussion today with what you had mentioned earlier. Donald Trump is vowing severe consequences if Putin does not agree to end war. Reports suggest Donald Trump's call with Zelensky as of last night. In addition, we see South Sudan, who is denying talks with Israel on Palestinian resettlement and refutes Israeli media reports. We touched it slightly yesterday on yesterday's program. And according to the Gaza Health Ministry, the current number of deaths stand at 61,700 Palestinians who have died due to the Israeli aggression into the Gaza Strip.
Right, sir. Let me begin with Dr. Benazir Ahmed. He is a public health specialist. I will put different questions, diplomatic questions on his table today. Sir, what do you think is Trump's main strategic goal in meeting Putin in Alaska? Peace in Ukraine, political optics, or mix of both dynamics?
No, thank you, Mr. Kanchan. I want to say that it is actually a mixture of both. On one hand, he somehow wants peace in Ukraine on one hand. Maybe it is genuine, it may not be genuine, but sometimes he expresses like that. On the other hand, actually he is actually a man who wants to be on the scene, always in the global scene.
He wants to be in the headlines.
Exactly. So, whenever something is coming, actually he usually takes the thing very rapidly. Whatever, if you actually consider from his this time tenure as the President of USA, he has done so many things during this short time and everywhere, internally, in his own government or other areas, and externally also. He has actually trying to establish himself as a peace negotiator all over the world. You can think about the war between India and Pakistan to some extent.
Iran, Israel.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And also Thailand and
Cambodia.
Cambodia.
Right.
And also recently one peace treaty between two countries.
Azerbaijan and
Armenia. So, from that perspective, one is that he wants to establish himself as a peace negotiator. So, this is one. Second, I think he believes, and what you have mentioned in your earlier statement, that he wants to be a listener. He wants to listen from Putin.
Yeah.
And actually, peace is really distant there. Because if you actually think about the intention of Putin, it is that for his own actually existence or continuation as the leader of Russia, the war is nothing but that. If you think about war of between Ukraine and Russia, no other issues is there. Only thing is that he want to establish there in his country as a leader, because you know many people of Russia still thinks of the Soviet Union, that era. They actually feel proud. So actually, though there are few issues, it is true,
Right, sir.
regarding NATO,
Right, sir.
because Ukraine was going to be included in NATO.
Sir,
So that is at the doorstep of Russia.
very well explained. Before I come to the expert, I mean Lieutenant Colonel Helaluddin Ahmed. He's a defense and security analyst. He worked with United Nations peacekeeping missions in different areas, in different capacities. I want to listen from somebody who will give us the perspective of President Trump's administration. Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes, former ambassador, peace negotiator, joining from Washington. Mr. Norman, good morning. And please let us know, what are you hearing in American medias? What are you listening in American television stations? And what are you hearing from Oval Office or White House or Congress or from Senates? Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes from Washington, D.C.
Yes, good morning to all. Greetings to the world. The day we started, another day in Washington. The issue today, and will be continued through the rest of the week, will be the meeting between Putin and President Trump in Alaska. The situation right now is that the meeting is scheduled. They had a discussion yesterday with the European leaders and the president of Ukraine about exactly the topics that to be discussed on Friday. The issue of land swapping, anything outside of listening to Putin. Basically, this is a chance for Putin to air out his ideas, what he wants to do. And President, believe it or not, our President Trump is going to stop and listen, take in the information, and report back to the European Union and President Zelensky about exactly what is the next step. The point of this is that he's going to absorb information from Putin and basically report back to the European group exactly what's the next step. The idea is to have a second meeting. The second meeting is to talk about the ceasefire. His instruction is to push a ceasefire. Without the ceasefire, there's basically no point of having this type of discussion. So we're waiting and seeing exactly what and anticipating exactly what will be the outcome and what type of sanctions and how we're going to move on from this. That is the biggest issue right now. In addition to what's going on in Washington, D.C., we are now doing 24 hours a day security with the city. They're doing checkpoints. They're increasing security. And the president is talking about home rule takeover more than 30 days.
All right, Mr.
That's
Norman, very well explained the situation. But as Lieutenant Colonel Helaluddin Ahmed, he has the background of defense and security analysis and career, long-time career with Bangladesh Army. I sometimes and often say Bangladesh Army is one of the finest army according to discipline in the world. My question would be related to that. Do you think, can a ceasefire in Ukraine be achieved without Ukraine directly at the negotiation table?
Thank you. To my understanding, the ceasefire without the parties is actually is not a ceasefire. It is an interim arrangement. So whatever effort
Trump is
Trump and Putin are trying to put in their next meeting that they are going to have in Alaska, Anchorage, I think this will be more of a ice breaking. They have been talking on phone also, They had been discussing this issue previously also. So they were setting a stage for at least, if not a ceasefire, a pause. And pause could be beneficial for both of them, for Ukraine, for Russia, and giving a space to Mr. Trump also to work out his details, how to maneuver through this deal in future. One thing very important is here that Trump is a very important, very interesting personality, because he always try to make the things more pompous, you know. So what he is trying to do is that, you see, whenever there is a conflict anywhere, he is there, the first guy to be there and trying to manage the things, as if that he is the guy who managed everything and ultimately everything got settled. Here also, he had been trying it for quite some time, and in his second term now, it was one his election mandates also, that he would like and to make the peace between Ukraine and Russia. So now, given this situation, even if Trump manages to have a peace deal in some form or ceasefire in some form, it will take some time. It will go by stages. Today, they have started talking. Next step, maybe he will say, as he said, that he is going to speak to Zelensky on this also, and then maybe in the next meeting he will bring in Zelensky.
So you also indicate a next meeting. So this is an opening.
I don't think the next meeting will also be a solution.
Okay, I want to go to Dr. Benazir regarding the most unpredictable, less talking but highest moving personality. This is called Vladimir Putin, who doesn't watch television, who doesn't watch use internet, who doesn't have the WhatsApp. He only sees the file. I'm talking a question about Putin. How might Putin use this meeting to gain a strategic advantage both domestically and internationally? Because he is under thousands of sanctions, he is facing slowdown of Russian economy, he is facing problem to sell his fuel to other countries because of sanctions. What do you think? What he want to achieve?
No, actually domestically he wants to show that they will not actually give up any land owned by them from Ukraine. So that will be one. And the second one is that regarding the exchange of lands, already his actually media mentioned that Russia is not going to actually give any amount of land, any areas.
He already said conditions has to
mentioned.
met.
Yes, true. So domestically, he will prove that he is talking to the very powerful president of the world, Donald Trump, and expressing that we are not going to give up any land what we have actually owned from Ukraine. So that will be message domestically to his own people, to show him as the hero.
Yes, sir.
And second, if you think about the global perspective, he is showing that I am attending the dialogue, I am not avoiding the dialogue. But in the dialogue, it is like that the two palm trees, we can discuss everything, but this is mine. So
Yes.
it will be like that. He will not actually share or give any concession. Just he will actually mention that I am in dialogue, and actually Zelensky is not agreeing to the conditions I am giving. So actually it is a sort of, you can say that he is revamping his position, that I am a dialogue people, I am not avoiding dialogue. So it will be shown on globally.
He will
So,
actually keep the door open for dialogue.
yeah, maybe door open, but actually he will not change his stand.
He will not sacrifice anything.
True. True.
I really appreciate, sir, very clear and loud and clear your explanation. Shamsul Alam Panto, as you have been keenly monitoring, watching and learning this event since the beginning of Russia invades Ukraine. My question is, you know, the president of Ukraine was professionally as a comedian actor. He became president with a popular vote. Now he is into the world as a commander-in-chief. He says Putin is bluffing, quote unquote. How credible his warning is?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Kanchan. We know that on this Friday. Tomorrow, they're supposed to meet at the joint base Elmendorf, Richardson. It has roots historically as a strategic military base from the Cold War, and it's still active today. However, as per your question, we know that Volodymyr Zelensky, a leader of Ukraine, was in fact a part of the entertainment industry in that country, and later due to a popular people's vote, he had become the leader of Ukraine. But to my understanding, we know that more than 20 to 35% of eastern Ukraine has been invaded by Russia and right now is under Russian rule. The meeting tomorrow, as you know, it's labeled as a listening exercise. Maybe Donald Trump is trying to understand where Vladimir Putin is coming from and what kind of ambition he has from such aggression towards Ukraine. What are the wins and what are the political takebacks he will have by assaulting Ukraine. However, we know Donald Trump, he enjoys the media attention that he receives, not only as a politician and the head of state, but also as a businessman. And at this point, arriving at a ceasefire would only stop the heinous attacks that has happened over the last 3.5 years. But such a prolonged war be over with such dialogue is very hard to understand and receive. We know that in history says we were celebrating almost the 80 years of the Hiroshima bombing earlier on this month, and such an event didn't take place as modern warfare is concerned. But according to various news agencies, even last night Donald Trump had a telephonic conversation with Volodymyr Zelensky, and they shared what they will be talking about tomorrow. So it's far too early to know what the consists of the meeting, but maybe we will have to sit on an emergency session this Saturday just to understand where this war and where the traction is going and how the US is going to play between these certain characters, Russia, Ukraine, and when I say Ukraine, I mean the entirety of NATO and Europe as well.
Sir, you says how United is going to play, but Washington Post this morning published an editorial. They says they have been clear Trump's notion, Trump's mission, Trump's goal is to hit the BRICS to make dollar stronger, and seems that he is hitting Russia, Brazil, India, China and South Africa together. And Washington Post made it clear that this meeting is a kind of acknowledgement by Russian President Vladimir Putin. Are you ready to go for a third world war? And it is just a coffee meeting, tea meeting, Mr. Norman. What you going to explain this from the editorial of Washington Post this morning?
Yes, I appreciate the question. But the situation is still the same. We have a conflict going on in the region that is affecting the world. Yes, we have tariffs. We have a goal of making deals. The United States, we want to increase our economy, but until this situation is managed with Russia and Ukraine, everything is on hold. Friday is going to be a very important time. Like I said, we may have to meet, like I said, Saturday to discuss what's going on, but everybody is perched and waiting exactly on the outcome of this meeting. Putin is going to have he's in a very advantageous position right now because he's in a position to dictate the terms. The rest of the world, including Europe and even the United States, is going to have to listen to these terms and accept the terms or not. That is going to move the economy. That's going to make a lot of people considering about investments, making business, just basically their personal security. They have to reevaluate it basically, is this something, is the Russia is trying to revise the old Soviet Union? Are they going to move towards the conquest of the whole continent? How the U.S. is going to pivot itself? Is the U.S. is going to take the side of Russia, or they're going to go back and support Europe? So everybody, including every banker, every investor, every business person, is waiting with anticipation on exactly what is the next step. We know the next couple of meetings is going to be back and forth, but we don't know exactly the terms. The terms is the most important part. So right now, Putin has the upper hand.
Mr. Norman, I always personally respect and appreciate the way you describe the Washington's position in our show. That is very professional, but you said what is the terms we are going to use. The world already been clear that terms is to make America great again. And I want to add one more line, to make Donald Trump himself great again. Let me come back to Dr. Benazir Ahmed. Sir, how the European leaders balancing support for Trump's diplomacy with their commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty? Because in the battlefield, the war was between Russia and Ukraine, but it was actually the war between Russia and NATO expansion.
No, true. Actually, it is difficult. It is difficult for the European Union leaders, because their stand is actually the stand of Ukraine. They don't want to give any land or like that. So, and also regarding support for Ukraine, they have already given whatever support they wanted to give. So, they have not many further actually things in their hand with which actually they can greatly support Ukraine and defeat Russia. So, ultimately Trump is the factor, their support is the main factor, and so far if you review that most of the supports are from the USA for Ukraine. And also Trump nowadays actually doing another sort of business. They are telling that the USA will provide the weapon to Ukraine, but it has to be paid by the European Union countries. And actually,
NATO members.
Right, as Norman was telling, actually whole Europe is in fear that Russia can actually do the same thing for another small country, especially near the border of Russia. So, actually I think the diplomacy of leaders of European Union will be difficult to actually convince Donald Trump to anything beyond actually the expectation of Putin. So, I think they will not be in a good position to do any diplomacy.
According to you, I understand as a very layman of international affairs subject, Putin became a nightmare for the European leaders.
To some extent.
Let us get the experience from the relevant expert, Lieutenant Colonel Helaluddin Ahmed, defense and security analyst. Sir, question is Trump's approach to Russia fundamentally different from NATO's position, and if so, how? I give you a little background. Putin took 3 days to invade Crimea. Putin took 6 days to invade Georgia. Putin is taking 3 years to complete the war with Ukraine. Is Putin the nightmare for the European countries and leaders?
Oh yes, exactly. I do agree, because Putin had been a nightmare because he is a great power leader. Russia is not a small country, it's a big power. It has got a very sustainable strength militarily, economically, and so far its political arena is also concerned. So in that case, Putin is not a person who can be subdued just like that. In any other case that other countries usually does to the smaller country. So, but I'm sure Putin had a lot of patience, because NATO was gradually getting very close to their backyard. So they had the reason to be scared of, and that's why this reaction came in. But now Putin also wants to end the war, because I think a lot of manpower losses have occurred. Just I was reading yesterday that about 30 lakhs to 40 lakhs soldiers are being inducted every month. I mean, this is not a very small amount of losses that they are suffering. And not only the losses, when the military goes into operation, actually they need to rest and refit also. They have to bring back their soldiers again, give them a little bit of rest, refit, and then send them back again to the war field. So, you know, for the rotation, you need the 3 times the forces that you require to hold the ground. So, this is also becoming very expensive for Putin also to hold the ground, rather than whatever ground he has achieved. If he can retain it by negotiation with Trump during these forthcoming meetings, I think it will be a big achievement for him, because Crimea is gone case. It will not come back to Ukraine anymore.
Do you think America will get NATO, all members, with this negotiation? NATO will agree Trump's negotiation?
Not very unlikely. NATO and EU are not likely to agree, but at the end of the day, since the largest stakeholder is USA,
Yes.
and Trump is running the show.
So I want to put the same question, very same question to you, Shamsul Alam Pantho. You are studying a lot on this particular issue. Trump heated NATO members by imposing 5% GDP to share for the security purpose. And that time you have seen in Hague there was a huge debate. Do you think Trump alone is negotiating with Putin and all NATO members will say, yes sir, what you have done we are agree? Do you think in that position Trump is in now with the NATO counterparts?
Thanks for your question. Let me point out that the 5% defense budget spending for all NATO members was for the next 10 years up until 2035. So NATO is understanding the Russian offensive over the years. We were mentioning the annexation of Crimea and Georgia, which happened quite some time ago, roughly a couple of years back. So the NATO's expenditure, military expenditure in this regard is for the long term, and they understand that the Russian the country is trying to recoup back into the Soviet Union that they were known of in the past. Now, it's not like all the NATO countries have followed suit on the 5% defense spending. Spain, in specific, said they will not be meeting that requirement or prerequisite. They will only have their 2% as per any normal European country or NATO member. But as far as tomorrow's meeting is concerned, Mark Rutte and Donald Trump do have a really nice friendship regarding the head of NATO and as well as the US president. But since this meeting tomorrow is a listening meeting, it's going off quite well. Why I say this, one must understand, listen to the enemy, what the enemy wants. If this was the perspective of Donald Trump. But knowing Donald Trump, even in the Iran-Israel conflict, there was a time where he was blatantly blaming Israel and Iran as well. So if it comes to push comes to shove, Donald Trump may become the bigger boot.
Sir, I really appreciate. As you make the show lighter, I just want to give a short solution. Why
Yes.
NATO is not considering Russia to be the member of NATO?
Although this is quite hilarious, satirical, but this was a question that we dealt in the past. Maybe they don't see eye to eye, and maybe the NATO countries feel inferior to the massive geographical size of Russia. And of course, history says they have been separated. World War II was the stage in Europe, and not much has been progressive alongside these lines.
Leaders can offer Russia to be the member of NATO, all problem gone.
If they see no other alternative, sure, why not?
Sir, it's time for a break, ladies and gentlemen. Will not take much time. We'll be coming back because the discussion is going excellent. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Interesting thing is, when we talk about the American internal policy, we see that Donald Trump is in the headline. No other ministers, no other secretaries, no other political parties are leading the news. Donald Trump is leading. When we talk about the Ukraine, Russia, Donald Trump is there. When we talk about the Iran, Israel, or Iran, Gaza, or Gaza, Israel, there is Donald Trump. Even when we talk about the South Asia, Donald Trump is here. When we talk about the tariffs and trades, Donald Trump is here. He is everywhere. First question to Norman: why Donald Trump loves to stay in the top headlines of at least 5 news headlines trending in the global news medias? Mr. Norman.
Yes, plain and simple, Donald Trump is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a news story. He wants to be, his aim is about being known. He wants everybody to know that I am Donald Trump. I am the one. I am the leader. So his plan, his strategy is to be involved in anything and everything that is pertinent, and particularly dealing with the world economy. He is a deal maker by trade. He's a business person. He deal with real estate. He make acquisitions. So anything to do with acquiring resources, funding, money, that is his agenda, is to make money, to make America great again. At the same time, help himself. He's positioned himself in certain parts of the world. He wants to be known as the person to make things happen. He wants to be the one. So you're going to see anything that goes on in the world, Donald Trump and his administration is going to try to have his hand in it. They want to participate. They want to control it. Because at the end of the day, he wants to make money.
All right, Norman. This time, one thing different, we can see Donald Trump's first administration and Donald Trump 2.0. Dr. Banerjee, that is, first time he has engaged his son, daughter, son-in-law, everybody in the administration, but this time we don't see anyone, and even the first lady is very much absent on his, when he is in the world stage. My question to you, sir, do you think it is a kind of attitude of the word megalomaniac, that I am here, my name is Donald Trump, I will lead everything, I will speak everything, I will decide everything? Do you find this sort of attitude from an unprecedented behavior from the US president?
Not true. Actually, in US, we are seeing an unprecedented precedent. Actually, earlier, we think about democracy in USA is the best. But this time, you cannot see actually lot of democracy in USA. It is a one-man show. And actually, Donald Trump has been grown up in this way. He has his own estate. There, what he ever dictates, what he decides, that happen. So he is actually doing the same thing here, and probably regarding involvement of his family members, I think he has some learning during that time, that he cannot actually open all things with his own children and other family members. Rather, this time he actually took, you see, people like
Marco Rubio.
Yeah, Marco Rubio or other people,
Right.
who are a sort of, if you look into them, they are sort of actually cadre of the Donald Trump.
Yeah.
If you remember, between the meeting between the president of Ukraine and the
South
Donald
African
Trump.
president.
No, Donald Trump in his office.
Yeah.
The situation was like that.
Yeah.
The vice president, the others, they were behaving like that, the cadre of Donald Trump. This time, he actually seems to be recruited some cadres who are actually supporting him wholeheartedly, even much more focused than Donald Trump. If you think about Israel and Palestine war, you see, whatever Trump is telling, his vice president or his foreign secretary is telling 20 times more aggressive. So, actually Donald Trump, what actually the way he was made in his own Trump actually business and others, as Norman was telling, every time he thinks about the business. So, this is also making him such a person that when he actually will be retired or be from the presidency, still he will be remembered a lot and it will help his business also. So, always
This is a kind of branding.
he thinks about business. Yes, it is branding, great branding.
Yeah, Shamsullaram Pantha,
No
you know,
one
I know,
will
I
actually
know,
forget Donald Trump.
yeah, I know Dr. Benazir is a very humble person. I watch his shows, I read his articles. He said very tough words. He used very powerful words. Donald Trump appointed some cadres from his own observation. How do you see his cabinet and alliances surrounded by him? Because we have seen some aggressive behavior of J.D. Vance, the vice president.
Okay, I want to take everyone's attention back to an event that had shaken the American governance, American politics. Capitol Hill was surrounded by general Americans right after Donald Trump had issued a statement to take over the Capitol building. And what happened was Joe Biden was as the 46th president then, and what Donald Trump understood that he was defeated in the 46th presidency, and that is how the people surrounded the building. They broke multiple laws, American federal laws in doing so, and that very person who those people had supported is now the 47th president of the United States. So it just comes to show how much people will blindly believe a person who you have labeled as a megalomaniac. But I want to point out as well the one big beautiful bill act which he had passed earlier on last month as well. It had a massive surge in deportation funding. The immigrant population in America is now under threat as the funding nearly equates to 170 billion, double the DHS usual budget. So this just shows how much, as Dr. Benazir was saying, his cadres, J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, and those who are with him when meeting with other international leaders is definitely an optical change. Even in his last presidency, it was Ivanka and his entire family line that was supporting him. And of course, in this last 8 months, we've seen fallouts with stars like Elon Musk, richest person on the globe. That kind of situation does put America in a default position. However, I must say and point out to this that he is understanding the entire world order in relationship to America, but is eventually forgetting the needs, basic requirements of general Americans. We've seen a federalized police takeover of Washington DC as this week, from last weekend as well. And what this only does is shows how much closer every day Donald Trump arrives at becoming a dictator.
Sir, I have three options for you. One is a administrator, I mean unpredictable president of United States. Another one is a peace negotiator or dangerous, or you call him the real change maker. Anyone you have to pick.
I'd pick with the change maker as for now, but we should add a fourth one, someone who is authoritarian and who loves to dictate the entire world to his pleasures.
Let the American decides what kind of president they have made for the world. I want to come to Middle East, especially Israel and Gaza conflict for an expert, defense and security analyst, Lieutenant Colonel Helaluddin Ahmed. With 123 deaths in Gaza in just 24 hours, is Israel escalating to a decisive offensive or trying to force negotiation, because the military cabinet already approved to evacuate Gaza and to acquire that?
Yes, my answer is yes, and at the same time no also, because yes in the sense that Gaza city can be occupied as the generals have made the plan, but holding it for a long time has always been very difficult for Israelis. They will definitely suffer more casualties. And in the long run, actually taking over or holding Gaza city will not bring any dividend, other than while negotiating with Hamas, maybe a point. But I think they have tried this also, but didn't work that much. So in future also, I mean, gaining the ground and taking over Gaza city or holding it for a prolonged period without any transfer arrangement will not work in favor of, Israel. Netanyahu is trying to, prolong the war and pressurizing Hamas to come to the terms which will favor Israel. But definitely Hamas is also being backed. So I think here, particularly Egypt, Turkey, Qatar, and other countries should
Are
also
trying for mediation.
But actually, good intentions has to prevail from
Right, sir.
Netanyahu.
Right, sir. As we have a public health specialist along with international affairs expert Dr. Benazir Ahmed, I have a health related question. A new term has come into the dictionary. After homicide, after genocide, now we see another word, healthocide. I want to know post-war healthocide situation in Gaza.
No, you see, actually, any war is a hazard, and especially the children, women are always vulnerable to any war. But actually, Gaza situation is different from any other war. Actually, it is not in that way is a war, because there is no other army there other than these.
So it's a
people.
genocide, sir.
It is a genocide, simple genocide, and they have been doing in all ways. Say, for example, directly bombing or sending any missiles or like that, destroying a whole compound, a hospital, or any gathering.
Even
So,
bombing in the humanitarian aid center.
no one is actually escaped. All the hospitals they are targeting, and also they are making the people starving. They stopped all kind of aids, and actually I sometimes think that the Gaza actually humanitarian system was one of the best in the world. They actually supplied the things in such a way that though they were some sort of refugee in their own country, still they were living actually leading a better life all the time. You can
So far
see.
it was moderate
Yeah,
life.
yeah, moderate. But during this time, it is unprecedented. They have been stopping all the aids, they have destroyed all the systems, all the humanitarian bodies, they are not carrying anyone. Not only that, during actually collection of the food, they are now calling US-Israel humanitarian
Right, sir.
system. They are just shooting. They are just shooting the people. It is really unprecedented. We can think about Second World War, the things against the Jewish people during that time. We know that it was unbearable. We know about Hiroshima, but this time, before our eyes,
Right, sir.
every day we are seeing lot of deaths, lot of starvation.
Right, sir.
And for physicians, it is unbearable seeing
Exactly, sir.
the children so emaciated,
Sir.
without food, without any meal.
Sir,
everything.
extremely well explained the healthocide situation in Gaza. Sir, I have a very tough question for you this time. If Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthi are the proxies of Iran, I want to call today from this show, Israel is the proxy of United States to kill the Muslims. What are you going to say?
Well, one can definitely ascertain the stance you've just taken, but I want to point out that the Israeli cabinet and its leader Benjamin Netanyahu shall, given the current circumstances, shall lead Israel and its citizens into a pariah state. Why I say this, the international community is coming forth, and it's not just one country in one continent, it is every country and every continent coming out in condemnation of Israel. And I'm sure in next month's UN General Assembly, people are going to take a vote on what should be the future of Israel. As yesterday we've also seen, they are trying their hand at a forced repatriation, meaning they're trying to send away the remaining lives that are there in Gaza, the Palestinians, into a country like South Sudan, a country that is already broken by years of civil war. Of course, South Sudan had refuted these claims on by the Israeli television. But we began this program with the death toll at 54,000. Unfortunately, the death toll has risen until 61,722 Palestinians who are lost. As we understand, that this is just another example, just like Hitler's Auschwitz and how he had gassed the Jews almost 80 years back. And something similar are now being done by the Israeli cabinet and its leader Benjamin Netanyahu, who is condemned worldwide. There is nothing new to say, but just to add on here that they are committing heinous crimes, war crimes, and it is now very disgusting to see how America has been of support to them,
Very shamelessly.
even while American ally like Australia is coming out in recognition of a Palestinian state. So America must reconsider its position and understand whether they want any kind of involvement into this international act of genocide by Israel.
I really appreciate you, sir, for your explanation way you have chosen. My last question, because we are at the last moment of the show, to Lieutenant Colonel Helaluddin Ahmed, Defense and Security Analyst. Do you think, is there anyone in the world who gonna stop this butcher, Benjamin Netanyahu?
Yeah, it's USA, it's America who can do it. And I think the world now should exert pressure on USA also, and try to call a spade a spade. I think we have heard enough of it, and we have seen enough of it. And I think they should start from the countries who are, more favorable to USA. And they have started speaking also. And I think Europeans should start, and they have already started, and this should gain momentum. And gradually the other global south should also come and join hands with the Europeans, because I find global south is quite little quiet on this aspect. They should start within their forums of propagating and discussing these issues, and bring up pressure on the US government to force Netanyahu to come to a settlement. Why only force Hamas? Let us also impose certain restrictions on
To Israel.
Israel also.
Sir, in 30 seconds, I want your comment. Are you really hopeful that one day Gaza or Palestine will be a free state?
No, I am very hopeful. I have actually gone through many histories. Such things happen. Ultimately, the people own. So I am very hopeful that by any means, you are seeing the changes already. That already 134 or like countries, and recently, say for example, Norway or like that one country, they have stopped sending weapons to Israel.
Germany.
So I think it will happen, and actually for his own interest, Netanyahu has actually continuing the war. Even the Israelis, they don't want this war to continue. Even the chief of staff mentioned that. So I am very hopeful, and also praying that these sufferings will see an end, and we shall see a Palestinian country. We want that there will be two states. Israel will actually live peacefully, and will let Palestine to live also peacefully.
Sir, I really appreciate Shamsul Alam Pantha, our international affairs commentator. I appreciate Dr. Benazir Ahmed, public health and international affairs specialist. I appreciate Lieutenant Colonel Helaluddin Ahmed, defense and security analyst, also with Norman Flood, Barnes former ambassador and peace negotiator, for contributing to this show. Ladies and gentlemen, last I want to give you a breaking news. One Saudi Arabia owned or flagged ship has been caught and detected in Italy. They are carrying arms for the Israel. How breaking news, what a breaking news is this, ladies and gentlemen. Get the rest of the things in online news portals. Thank you very much. We will see you on Sunday.